Last week, we worked on shoulders a little bit. This week, we're going to work on something called the posterior chain, which is basically all of the back muscles from top of your neck all the way down to your feet. So although I have got a block, I'm going to start sitting down on the ground and taking the feet out comfortable distance apart. Doesn't have to be super wide. Allow yourself to just lift up so you can come onto the front edge of your sitting bones and bring your hands in front of your heart with your elbows high, just in line with your shoulders. Try and keep the shoulders a little bit soft. And then we're just going to stir that around. So lean out to one side, lean forwards, bring ourselves back, lean back a little bit. So you start small. If you can imagine the amount of work that your lower back muscles, your groins, your abdominal muscles, and the discs are doing in the lower part of your spine, you don't want to push too hard into this. You want to just ease in, see how they feel. Think of this as very much as a warm-up. We're not trying to get to any particular place. So letting the breath settle, feeling the muscles around their body moving. Try to press out through the heels a little bit and have the toes point up towards the sky. Going to do a few rounds, opposite direction. See how that feels. Just notice whether there's any great differences between one side and the other. And then I'm going to come back into the center. And just going to bring the heels in towards the groins. So in Sukhasana, trying to get the shin down onto the floor. If you do need to put the block underneath your bottom, you can. I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Just take the arms out in line with the chest. Bring that left arm over, right arm over the top into eagle arms. Bring the palms together. And just get a little bit of used to stretching out through the back of the shoulders. Now you'll notice that my elbows are away from my body. They're trying to be as high as my shoulders. And my shoulders are trying to relax down. No more, low less than that. And then see if I can breathe normally. So you will feel that a little bit underneath the back of your shoulders. You might even feel that across the front of your chest as well. Just squeezing your arms in this close can be a bit of a challenge. Try and relax the knees down if you can. And we'll release the arms out wide. And simply cross them over the opposite way. Again, it's noticing how that feels in the shoulders, underneath the shoulders, and how much engagement there is in terms of the legs lifting unless we're trying to keep those elbows just in line with the shoulders. Release from there as well. Just shake those shoulders out a little bit. I'm going to move up onto all fours and allow myself to tuck the toes underneath. Sit gently back onto the heels. And then if you're able to, you can walk the hands in and lift yourself up to take all of your body weight. Alternatively, you can actually just press into the floor and gain a little bit of traction, pressing back into the hands and putting a little bit more weight into those toes. Just ideally, just taking a nice gentle toe stretch. Also come forwards out of that. Tuck the toes the opposite way. Allow ourselves to round the spine up towards the sky. Just pressing the shins. The bootlaces gently into the ground, letting the head hang. I'm going to sit back onto the heels again and bring the hands onto the front of the thighs. Tilt the pelvis forwards and lift the chest up towards the sky. Roll the shoulders back a little bit and squeeze them together very gently. Tilting the pelvis the opposite way. Rolling gently back into a rounded back. So long breath forwards. And again, you can start slow and build. You get a little bit more movement through the upper back. Try to avoid pulling your head back. Allow your head just to follow where your heart points to. Come back into neutral. Hands into the front of the mat. Toes underneath. And let ourselves lift back into down dog. It's your first down dog of the evening on the mat. It means you can walk the legs out if that feels easy and good thing to do. You can stay absolutely still. You can take scissor dog, whatever feels good to you. Try to lift the hips up. Press the hands down. And I'll come forward slowly into a plank. Press out through the heels. Let the knees down to the floor, underneath the hips. And tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and slide the leg back. As you press down into your left shin, you're going to let that right leg just lift to about the height of your hip, nice and straight. Press into the floor with the hands, get as much height from the ground as you can. Keep the center line of your body on the center line of your mat. And we'll just lower the foot to the floor. Bring the knee back in. Put the toes. Take the opposite leg out. Press down into the shin. So we stabilize the hips. We stabilize across the back. We stabilize through the hands, pressing down and via the shoulders. Knee and the foot come back down to the floor, shifting the weight very gently into that left leg. Then take the right knee out to the side. Now you're going to try and keep your hips pointing to the ground, arms pressing into the floor so the chest stays square and the arms are locked. And you just lift your knee out to the side as high as you can. You can hold it there for a few more breaths. Bring that knee slowly back down to the floor. And then take the opposite knee out. Pressing down into the ground. You are going to feel that in your hip, I suspect. As you press down through the hands and push away from the floor and press down into your knee, you'll feel the muscles across your back firing up as well, just trying to work out how to support yourself. And we'll bring the knee back down to the floor. And tuck the toes underneath and sit back down into child's pose. Just going to let the head and the elbows come to the floor. Inhale, back up onto all fours. And move myself into down dog. I'll come forwards into plank again, keeping the body high, knees to the ground. Allow myself to sit back down. Toes are tucked under still, so it's not quite child's pose. Lift myself back up onto all fours, and then move myself back into the down dog. And we'll come forwards one more time to that plank, using the knees to the floor, gently sitting back. Down into the ground to lift back up. We'll move slowly into our down dog and scissor leg the right leg. This time we're going to open up the hips to the side, point the toes towards the sky, but keep two strong arms pressing down into the floor. Turning the hip down to the ground, we lower the leg. We'll take the opposite leg high. Turn the hip out. Keep the arms strong, shoulders square to the ground. Try to lift that hip as high as we can. And turn the hip to the ground. Bring your foot to the ground. Take a little breath and come forwards into the plank. Bring your knees directly underneath your hips. On the inhale, we're going to shift weight a little bit. Take the right hand up towards the sky, opening the chest, and then threading the needle through. As we exhale down to the ground. Press into that bottom arm and inhale the hand all the way to the sky. Float it back down. Inhale the hand to the sky again. Bring the hand to the floor. Take the left hand up. Roll the spine round as much as you can. Exhale yourself down. Try and lead the shoulder and ear to the floor. Press into the ground to draw the breath in and lift up high. Ease yourself round and down again. One more full lift. One more thread through. One more lift to the sky. And bring the hands to the floor. Let the knees go wide as the mat, toes together. Allow yourself to sit back onto the heels. Now, without taking yourself all the way to the floor, you're going to take a little breath and just take that left hand across 90 degrees to the right side and lay the shoulder and ear to the floor. So we're bringing the body into more of a child's pose. And we're going to stretch slowly the right hand forwards towards the front of the mat. It fully extends out. And the shoulder kind of pushes into your face a little bit. And walk top hand back. Press into the ground to lift back up. That starting position. And allow ourselves to slowly walk the opposite hand under. And then take that left hand forwards. Walking back in. And take a little breath from here. Allow ourselves to lift up. Just swing the feet out to the side. And allow myself to roll back down onto the ground. Now, I want to have the feet fairly close to the front of the mat because I'm going to be using the arms over the top. towards the back of the mat. Just going to lengthen the legs out to start with. I'm going to squeeze the thighs together a little bit, point the toes away, inhale the hands towards the sky. Now draw your lower back into the floor as you exhale, and let your arms sink to the ground. Try and get your back of your elbows, back of your hands and your forearms onto the floor. And then inhale, hands to come back up. Just relax the feet a little bit. Exhale, point the toes away, draw your lower back to the floor. Those arms drop down to the ground. Stretching out through the fingers. Bring the hands up. Relax your feet again. Point them away. Draw your lower back to the floor. And then just come down to the ground. Inhale, lifting up. Got 2 more to do. Lifting out through the legs. All the ribs down towards your hips. Quite a big stretch into the back of the shoulders if they're a little bit tight. You need to take the arms wider than the mat, possibly, to get the arms to the floor. And then we'll bring the hands back up. We're going to bring them alongside the body, palms face down. Just roll the shoulders underneath. Slide the heels back in. And as they come underneath your knees, have them about hip distance apart, ready for bridge pose. We're just going to flow gently. Tailbone starts to lift as we draw the belly in, and we press down through the shins to lift up. Let the chest move towards the chin. Press the hands down and the knees away. And then we roll slowly back down into the floor. Now, keep your eyes and your head pointing directly up to the ceiling, no walking around to see what's going on. Just going to feel our way lifting up, press into the floor. Your peripheral vision, just check your knees. I'll stay in the same distance apart, not gradually wandering out. Again, press lightly into the back of the arms and shoulders. Way down. And again, we'll lift up. And roll the spine gently down to the floor. Once you arrive, take 1 breath just to let it relax. And then let the knees come in towards your body. And take your hands on top of the knees. And we're going to paint some big circles. So your right knee goes right, left knee goes left. You move towards the bottom of the mat. You exhale the knees in through the center line towards your chest. Now to the sides. Inhale them towards the front of the mat. So you're going to get a little bit of movement in your lower spine. Roll around. Now, as you do this, see if you can, on the exhale, drawing your knees in towards you. Lift your tailbone away from the floor and draw your knees as close into your chest as you can, but without pulling on your hands excessively. So, just a little bit of a tummy squeeze there. You can tell when I did it because I couldn't squeeze and talk at the same time. Try and keep the neck nice and long. All right, that last one. And then let the feet come to the floor, close to the bottom, on the center line. Toes, knees, and heels touch. Just go out, wide crucifix style in line with the chest. And we roll the legs gently over towards the right, head to the left. A couple of long, deep breaths here, just letting your diaphragm move freely. And on the exhale of the breath, and bring the legs back up. Take a breath in, realign. Allow the legs to go the opposite way. Bring the knees gently back up. Going to come into a figure four, supine version. So we'll take the left leg to the sky and turn the toes to the outside edge of the mat. You softly bend your knee, keep your foot flexed towards your kneecap, take your ankle to the outside of the right leg. Draw your right knee in towards you. So you take your left hand through the center and the right hand either around the outside of the shin to meet the hands together, or over the back of the thigh if you're using that. Again, you want to try and keep the shoulders relaxed down to the ground and start to use the muscles of your right leg to draw the leg in towards you. So you're going to feel, as you work on the right leg, a bigger sustained opening into that left hip. Just a little bit. So you're not pulling really on the arms, the breath, front of the chest and across the shoulders, the back of the neck. They're pretty relaxed in the pose. Legs are doing all the work. Hands are just there really for a little bit of balance. Stop us rolling out unnecessarily or quickly. For a release, and let that left leg up to the sky, give a little shake out. Bring the foot down, side by side, and we'll take the right leg up, turn the toes. We come into our figure four, we keep the foot flexed. Knee travels forwards as that left knee travels in towards us. Right hand through the center, left hand around the outside. Take a little breath. Try and get the spine long and flat. Noticing any differences between one side and the other. Interestingly, my hip on this side is tighter than my other hip. We use the left leg to gently start to apply pressure. As you build, it's not a sudden jerky movement, it's a gradual increase of pressure, drawing the knee in and seeing how the right leg reacts. Release that leg as well. Shake out the right leg. Now bring both knees in towards the body. Take your arms out wide again, palms facing up. Draw the lower back into the ground. Keep the thighs squeezing together and the feet gently flexed. We'll take the legs over towards the right side. Now we're going to try and keep the legs together. If you're able to get the legs to touch the floor and keep the shoulders on the ground, great. However close you get, that's perfect. If you can, just keep them the knee and the ankle bone just hovering off the ground a fraction. That would be the optimum. You don't really turn the muscles off, which is roll from one side to the other, easing down, keeping the shoulders flat to the ground, turning the head a little bit, squeezing the thighs together, and the feet stay flexed. Knees, toes. Come up again. Roll across to the other side. Keep the knees in towards the body as best you can. Try and figure out what you think the floor is. I feel like I'm about 5 millimeters off the ground. I suspect when I watch the video back, it's probably going to be more like 3 inches. My way back up. We'll take one more to each side. Constantly drawing the lower back into the ground as we roll across. Squeeze the thighs very gently. All the way back up. And the final side. Bringing the knees back up. I'll take a little breath and wrap my arms around the shins. A little stretch into a hug, and then let the knees come down towards the floor. On the right, allow myself to spin round, bring my belly down to the floor. So keeping the head the same end of the mat, taking a little breath, taking the feet out as wide as the mat. I'm going to allow myself to take the hands down by the side of my body, palms face down. The feet are as wide as the mat, heels rolling out a little. And inhale the hands, the chest, and the feet away from the floor. On the exhale, we'll come back down gently. And hold of the breath. So locust pose, variation 1. Lifting up. Gently back down. Lifting up. Down. Inhaling up. And down. And one more time. Now take a little breath from there. Now the hands to come forwards, about shoulder distance apart. Then turn the palms in towards each other. Press a little finger into the floor and lift your chest away from the ground a little bit, so it feels like your bottom ribs are just touching the ground, but the front part of your chest is lifted. Now I'm going to lift the right arm and left leg away from the ground as we breathe in. Exhale them back down. We'll cross over the other side. And bring ourselves back. Inhale across. And down. Inhaling up. And down. Cross to the other side. And down. Changing over. Breathe it in. One more to each side. Allow yourself to take your arms out wide, bend at the elbows, palms flat to the floor. So you've got cactus arms, chin on the ground. And bend your knees so the toes point up towards the sky, the shins are vertical to the floor. On the inhale, you're going to lift your chest, your elbows, your hands, and your thighs and knees away from the ground into a skydive. And we hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come down. Release the legs to the floor and bring them onto the center line. Take the arms out wide, palms facing down. Bring your right hand in towards your body underneath your shoulder, and we're going to take that shoulder stretch by pressing into the right hand and tilting the body up onto the left side. Going to keep the thighs squeezed together a little bit. Lift the legs away from the floor just an inch or so. Try and keep the straight line down the center of, down the side of the mat, rather than letting the legs wail either in front or behind. Stretching quite a lot into that shoulder. Keeping the belly drawn in a little bit and the legs lifted. We'll bring the feet down to the floor, roll the chest down, take that shoulder stretch prone to the opposite side. So right hand out, left hand presses down and come onto the side of the body. Squeeze the thighs and lift the legs. Just looking out to the side of the mat rather than towards the feet. Helps keep the whole body in line a little easier. And then we'll roll it back down onto the floor. Take your arms out wide, the feet out as wide as the mat. Bend at the elbows, cactus arms. Knees bend, point the toes towards the sky. Inhale into your skydive. Now we bring everything back down again. Allow the feet to come on the center line. Take the arms out wide again. Take a little breath. Now we're going to come into scorpion twists. We've done them before, maybe not necessarily in this class. So we're going to bend the right knee, toes towards the sky. And then we'll lift the right thigh away from the ground. We'll roll slowly onto our left side and then see if we can get our right foot to touch the left hand over behind on the ground. We'll lift the knee as high as we can and the thigh as high as you can as we roll the chest and the legs back down to the floor. As the foot comes to the ground, start to inhale the other leg towards the sky, roll it over. Now, admittedly, we are trying to get the foot to touch the hand. Sometimes people are very intuitive and actually move their hand down towards their foot. Not quite the same thing. Come down onto the belly again. Lift slowly. Right thigh. Roll it over. Bring it back as high as you can. So you roll the body deliberately over. Lift that leg up, it down. We'll go one more to each side. Lift the thigh. Roll the chest down, and that gives us a final side to play with. The hands underneath your body, press away from the floor. So to bring your knees in underneath you, sit gently back down into child's pose. And let the hands be more or less underneath my head. Just adjust them in gently and elbows out to the side. Give the shoulders a bit of a rest. And allow my body to get used to the spine rounding. Look up, let's bring the hands onto the very front edge of the mat. And I just have to lift up onto all fours as I tuck the toes underneath. And move myself into a down dog shape. And just walk the feet into the front of the mat. So bring the hands onto the shins. I should run out of space and move back in the middle of the mat. Don't need to worry about that. Now, with one hand, I'll stay keeping with the left hand on the shin. I'm going to slowly extend the right hand out to follow the line of my body. A little bit of softness in the knees, not too much weight on that hand on the shin. And just stretch out the hand palm facing into the center line. Keeping the body where it is, I'll let the hand come back and then slowly lengthen out the other side. Stretch it out, keep the body long. And let the hand come back down. Inhale. Exhale it down. Cross over, inhale it up. Exhale it down. Cross over again, inhale forwards with that hand on the right. Try and keep the head in line with your body. Left arm goes out. Comes back in. One more to each side. Last side, left side lifts up. And hands come to the floor again. Now step back into your down dog. For me, that's kind of stepping forwards. I had to move there because otherwise my arms would have just bounced into the wall. Wouldn't exactly work. I'm going to draw the right knee in towards the chest and bring that foot through into a lunge. Bring the hands alongside the body. Slowly lift the chest. Try and follow the line of the back leg. Allow yourself to lengthen the arms out in line with the body. Then keeping the body where it is, you bring the hands back alongside your hips. Shoulders draw back a little bit. And we lengthen out forwards again. Hands slowly come back, pressing out through the back heel. And they float forwards again. And one more time. And bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. You won't be surprised when I suggest that we draw the left knee in and bring that foot through into a high lunge. Drawing the belly in a little bit, we find a balance. Allow ourselves to lift the hands alongside the body and extend the body out at 45 degrees-ish. Probably a lot lower than that, but that'll work as a description. Lengthen the arms out as you inhale. Exhale them back. And squeeze into the shoulders. Inhale forwards. Back. As we go. Strong arms. Back again. 2 more lifts. Last time coming forward. Bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Draw the right knee into your chest. Bring your foot through into lunge. This time we're taking the back knee to the floor. Put the hands on the ground for a moment. Just a different way of doing this. So slide the hands alongside the hips. Start to lift the chest. Allow the arms to lift up. Send your tailbone down. And let the arms come out wide, in line with your chest and shoulders. Keep the elbows lifted. Bring the palms together in front of the chest, the collarbones. Now as you inhale, you're going to rotate around to this right side as far as you can. On the exhale, take it into a revolved version. So once you feel safe, allow yourself to press the hands together. Start to lift the chest away from the floor. Just tightens up the twist a little bit. If your balance is a bit wobbly, try and press the big toe on the front foot into the floor and the back shin into the ground a little. That will help. If you still need a little bit more help, turn your eyes and your head down to face your front foot. And being able to see what you're doing helps even more. And with that, a little bit of pressing down in the back shin. A few pounds of pressure. Bring hands to the ground. So on the back foot into our lunge. And stepping back to our down dog. Left knee comes in into the lunge. Drop the knee down to the floor and tuck the toes. Hands come alongside the body. Lift the body up, draw the belly in. And the hands lift out to the side. And the hands in towards your heart. Now again, take that long, slow breath all the way around to the side. And then when you finish twisting, exhale it out and over that front thigh. Stability. Inhale, lift, press down through those arms into that thigh. Move the chest away from the floor. Press lightly into the back shin, big toe. Keep your shoulders away from the ear. Nice and broad across the chest. And then we'll release. Bring the hands to the floor. And step it back into our down dog. And this time I'm going to draw the right knee in towards the body, but take the foot to the outside of that right hand, keeping the back knee lifted. We'll slowly open ourselves into a twist. Taking that right hand high. I'm going to try and keep the front leg, foot on the ground, flat to the floor, and with the toes pointing forwards. Squeezing the knee a little bit more in towards the center of the mat rather than let it hang out to the side. Bring hands back and step back into that down dog. Draw your left knee in, put that through, place it gently. Allow yourself to twist. Press out through the back heel. Try to keep the hips pointing towards the ground rather than twisting to the side. Getting the rotation in the spine. Press down through that bottom hand. Squeezing that front leg, as we said before, a little towards us. Doesn't actually look like I'm squeezing my knee towards me at all, but the feeling is definitely there, even if I'm not achieving very much in terms of how it looks. You should feel the inner thighs working a little bit, along with that bottom arm pressing down and that shoulder lengthening out. We'll bring the hands to the floor, step it back into our down dog. Now I'm going to come forwards about halfway with my feet, having the feet about hip distance apart, keeping the heels off the ground, soften the knees, yourself down into a squat. So it's a toe squat. I want the knees pointing forward, so I have to squeeze the sides together a little bit. I'm going to slowly take the hands out in front, palms facing down, hands in line with the shoulders, and just find my focus point. Lost it there. Bring hands down to the floor. Just a little behind. Legs lengthen out. I'm going to bring the feet again in. Allow myself down onto the ground. Hands behind. Feeling close to my body. Take your arms out wide. I'll take the left leg up, cross it over the right, and see if I can bring my foot around the back of the calf of the right leg. So I'm just going to lift that away gently and tuck that under. And then try to keep both knees over the top of the hips and using my lower back muscles and my abdominal muscles to keep my spine as close to the floor as I can. I'll take the left arm towards the sky, right arm across the top, and bring those into eagle arms again. I'm going to press the shoulders down into the floor this time. Try and keep the elbows in line with the shoulders, lifted away from the chest. So supine eagle pose. Drawing that belly down. Long, even breaths. Sending the breath into the back of the shoulders. Release the arms. Untangle the legs. And take both legs up towards the sky. The hands out to the side. Crucifix style, palms facing up. Again, we're going to keep that lower back drawn in towards the ground. Squeeze the thighs together a little bit. Draw your tailbone down and press your toes towards the sky. Somewhere in between, knees open up and lengthen out. The legs get very straight. Bend the knees slowly. Bring the feet to the floor close to your bottom. Allow yourself to lift your right leg up. Cross that over. See if you can bring your foot underneath the back of that calf. Knees over the hips. Draw the belly down. Right arm lifts. Left arm over the top. Bend the elbows. Press your shoulders and your lower back into the ground. And you're trying to keep the elbows high, lifted away from the chest. And release the arms out. Untangle the legs. Point the toes up towards the sky again. Softly bring the feet back to the floor. Take the feet out as wide as we think the hips are, and then let the knees separate the same distance apart as the feet. Slide the hands back alongside your body, palms face down, and just roll the shoulders under a little bit. And on the exhale, peel the tailbone away from the floor and send that up towards the sky into a bridge. Stretch the knees forwards, keep the thighs parallel. Press the back of those arms into the ground. Take a breath in. Use your exhale to slide your spine gently, a bone at a time, back down to the floor until your toe bone arrives. And on the next exhale, begin to draw a belly in and lift again. Pressing those arms down, lifting the chest, hips towards the sky, knees towards the front of the mat. Back down again. Take another couple of lifts. As you arrive safely on the ground, bring your knees in towards your body again. Take your hands on top of those kneecaps. Again, we make those big circles with the knees in the air. We'll see if we can just change that round. Breathing out wide, bringing the knees in towards the body, and as you exhale, you press your knees down essentially. Inhale out wide, and just come in, starting to exhale, all the way down the line of the mat. We'll take one more of those. Simply take one knee in one direction and one knee in the opposite. And we'll cross that over the opposite way. Simply roll onto my right side. Find that block. Place it underneath my bottom. Lift up. Put the feet out in front into Dandasana. So just drawing the flesh out momentarily. Flexing the toes towards me as I lengthen the legs out and sit as upright as I can. We'll release, and we'll take it into a simple seated twist. I'm going to take the left foot under, out towards my right hip. Bring the right leg across. Left hand comes between the chest and the thigh. Bend the elbow, press that elbow and knee together. Brace a little bit, palm faces out to the side. Relax the bottom leg. Try and keep both sitting bones on the ground, evenly weighted. Look over that rear shoulder. And we can release. We'll take it across to the opposite side. And then we can release from there. And we'll move ourselves down into Shavasana. Just going to take the block behind, knees high, hands behind for support, chin in towards the chest. Roll that spine down for the final time. I'm going to use the block under my head. You don't have to. I just find it a little more comfy for my back, my spine. So letting you make your own decisions and choices there. Wriggle out the hips and kind of move the flesh of your butt around a little bit. Play around with the tailbone. Wriggling the shoulders underneath, and then finally letting the hands just come out to the side of the body, palms facing up. Closing your eyes, loosen your jaw. Gradually see if you can let the muscles in your body relax down. So you're going to need to scan around your body just to check that nothing's forgotten and still holding on a little bit, whether you're unconsciously doing it. We are consciously scanning the body and Consciously relaxing. Slowly start to stretch those fingers and toes. And then wrestling ankles. Bringing ourselves out of our secondary nervous system back into our primary. Breathing deep. Stretch out slowly in any way that feels good. Just follow your instincts for what you need to do. Slide your heels gently along the floor. Bring those feet back in towards your bottom. And then let a knee at a time come in and take the softest, gentlest hug you can imagine. And we'll roll slowly over to the right side. Turn the chest down towards the floor to follow as we breathe in. Use the hands on the exhale to glide our way back up to sitting. Hands coming towards your heart. And a deeper breath and close the eyes again. Slowly let the chin drop. Find your body draws inwards You're able to bow down, seal your practice. And inhale, spine lifts with your breath. Eventually the head lifts and the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I hope you enjoyed working on your posterior chain.